Hello everybody, today I want to show you a review of our dryer, which is the IFB dryer, and you can see this is the load that I have, of all the clothes, which are pretty wet, it's a mixed load. I just put a mixed load and it's just come through, so I'm going to show you how it basically works. I'm just showing the scale for reference, right? So I'm just loading my weight and I'm checking what is the weight of my load. My load is actually 8.4 kg, alright? So I've washed around 7.9 kg approximately. The bucket is around 0.5 kg. So I've washed around 8.4 kg and I'm going to put this load into the dryer by splitting it into two parts. So I'm just going to show how my experience is. So this is our IFB TurboDryer, and the thing is, I'm just going to switch this on. One more thing about this dryer that you have to understand is that when we initially purchased it, the product was defective, and then we had to raise the request with IFB, and then once we raised the request, they basically replaced it for us. So that's what. Now this is the lint filter, of course, which needs to be cleaned. After the last wash, I don't think anybody in my house cleaned it, so I'm just going to quickly clean that. So I'm going to just show you the lint that's accumulated. It's not a lot, but it's still minor. So I'm just going to clean this up with my hand, sort of. So let me just take care of that and then I'll continue this video. Alright guys, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to load these clothes that I've washed one after another. That's what they have said. So one of the things that we made a mistake when we bought from IFB is that we bought it from Reliance, given that we were just buying a couple of other home appliances as well, and we assumed that buying from Reliance will be the better option. But what happened was, when the product came from Reliance, it seemed like the product was defective to begin with. Alright, that's because these delivery people who basically come in from Reliance, they are outsourced delivery partners. And what they do is they are paid by how much of load they carry. So what happens is, these people, they do not actually carry the load pretty well, so sometimes when they basically bring stuff up, the product gets damaged, and when it gets damaged, we assume that the product is defective when the product is not defective. But because our dryer was indeed operational when it first came in, but the thing was, it was just not drying, and I assumed it was a big mistake to buy the IFB, and I should have just gone with Bosch or one of the other brands. But it's very important when you're buying these electrical appliances to buy from the IFB point, or whatever the authorized channel partner, because you can actually have delivery done by the people concerned, who understand the product, who understand how much weight it can handle, how to transport it effectively, from that brand itself. We bought a Bosch dishwasher, if you've seen another video, where we just directly went from Bosch because we had seen other people's reviews where the experience was similar. With IFB, we just assumed because it was a dryer, it might just come through. And it was more of an impulse decision at that day, because Reliance was nearby. We just went into Reliance and made the purchase. Not an impulse decision, but we had done our research, but we just decided to make a purchase from Reliance, but then it turned out to be costly. But good thing was, IFB did replace it, but the initial person that came in for our service wasn't such a good person. You can read reviews of IFB's service being mixed. Yes, there was one person who wasn't the best. But then the other person that came through after we escalated it was very good. There were two people that were involved, and they did an amazing job. We mentioned their names, so I don't remember the names. My wife knows them. But yeah, so that's what. So I'll just walk you through the settings as I load them. So hello everybody, this is how we basically set this setting for the dryer. Now you can see like there's a couple of bit of my load that's still pending, but I've already loaded it to some 5 kg mark, so it's 8 kgs of load, so you know how it works. So now what I'm doing is I am basically going to set the setting. So the way it works is we have to only turn it clockwise, and what there is, sorry, I missed that. So it should be at that arrow 40, 50, 60. Alright, so I'm setting that mark at 60, as you can see. This is a mechanical dryer, so I'm approximately setting at 50. I may be wrong, but I think I'm setting it at 60, so it's immediately started rotating here, as you can see. Now this is drying. In our original product that we bought, only the sound would come, but it would not dry. And in fact, the sound was insanely heavy to the point like we were sitting in the living room. So this is the balcony that's connected to our master bedroom. We would actually be sitting in the living room, which is very far from here. But in spite of this, what would happen is we would still get that noise. But after we got the replacement, we don't have that issue. So I will show you the results after 60 minutes of drying, and we'll keep a tab on it. The other thing I want to talk about, which most people don't talk about, is getting the stabilizer. We're getting the stabilizer because we do have power fluctuations and voltage fluctuations in the place that we live in. All right. So as a result of this, but the IFB technician who originally came when we had a defective dryer, he forced us to buy, saying that you will lose the warranty. All right. But the second person that came in, he didn't even mention anything about a stabilizer and all of that. So we ordered one online. We got it for a cheaper price, and we got that. And then we did set it up because we understood there would be power fluctuations in here, after we spoke to a couple of our neighbors and all of that. So yeah, so after 60 minutes, I'll show you the results. And then from there we go. Hello everybody, so we are back, and this one has run, I think it's course for 60 minutes. So we just need to open it. Obviously, one of the complaints about the IFB dryer is that this door is rather flimsy. But you can see how dry each one of the clothes have become. Literally, this is super dry. This was not the case when we got the initial product. It wouldn't be dry this much, but now it's really dry. So I'll just take another bucket and then I'll just show you. So I'm going to remove these clothes one after another. So as you can see, this is incredibly dry. This dupatta is also very dry. This one is dry. So earlier when we initially got this, we used to run it for almost 90 minutes and it wouldn't be dry. All right, but with this new set, I can clearly see the difference, because I was very unhappy when we bought it, and so I was telling my wife we should have just gotten a Bosch or whatever, but the product really works. It's not bad as long as you don't get a defective piece. You can see the jeans, look at the jeans, it's just dry. That's it, it's just dry. Like, I can just fold it, put it into the cupboard, that's it, its job is done. So really, this is a lifesaver for us who basically live in apartments and those kinds of complexes where we don't have the ability to line dry. And even if we do line dry, what happens is by the time we take it out, immediately this one becomes dirty. So obviously now we need to check for the trapped linen and then remove the trapped linen. So I'm going to do that. So it's just a simple removal like this. There you can see the linen does accumulate quite a bit in this, but I think that's the part of it. So there is linen trapped even in the Bosch ones. Alright, so every model has basically a filter where everything gets collected. So we'll just remove that and then we'll start the drying process again.